kind of
but
like
one thing that you should definitely explain is if Tag explains the justification for knowledge, for truth, for logic, for moral, or for ethics, etc., in God, then what is the justification for God's knowledge?
God.
So it's self-justifying? So it doesn't have a foundation?
It is the foundation.
So does God know anything in your worldview?
Yeah, he knows everything.
So he knows everything. Okay, so if he knows everything, how do you define knowledge?
It doesn't matter. But like the idea is that
we could use the classical notion of like a justified true belief or something like that.
Yeah.
But if it's so, what's the justification for God's knowledge?
God.
So can a thing justify itself in your worldview?
Well, what God would be the absolute. So God creates knowledge, right? And then humans discover knowledge. What?
That's the claim, anyway.
Well, that's the view. So I mean, if you're gonna
attack
a straw man, that's not the view, right? So God creates.
I'm not trying to attack a straw man. You believe that God knows everything, so God has knowledge, and
he creates knowledge.
Sure,
humans discover knowledge.
So to be clear, I could create an iPhone, but still not have an iPhone, right? So does God have knowledge, or does God just create knowledge?
He's the ground of knowledge. He's the source of knowledge.
Does God know things? Does God know that he exists?
He knows all true propositions.
Okay, so how does he justify that knowledge?
He is the justification.
That doesn't seem like it answers my question. I don't know what it means for a thing to justify itself.
Think about it. Like, God decides what's true. He's the authority of fact, right? So facts require some authority to determine what's a fact and what's not.
I don't know what that means.
Well, anytime you make a truth claim, you're speaking.
I mean, are you talking about like a truth maker?
I'm saying like God would be the ultimate reality. He would dictate all states of affairs. He determines like what is, what can, what cannot be, what's possible, what's impossible, what's necessary, what's contingent.
So you're telling me that that God's the truth maker.
He's the source of truth. Yeah. So like Jesus says, I am the truth. He doesn't say, I know the truth.
Right. So God is the truth. God is the truth maker. God is the state of, well, okay. So what's your theory of truth here?
He's the arbiter of truth.
What's your theory of truth here?
If the source of truth makes a claim,
like, is it a correspondence theory of truth, or like, what is it?
Well, it would depend. I would use both correspondence and coherent. But you're trying to derail into like.
No, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not like straw manning you. That's why I'm trying to figure out what your theory of truth is.
You're derailing. Because you can't handle
it. All.
You can't handle it. The truth is you can't handle Tag.
We're literally talking about your worldview right now. You just want to pivot to Tag because you think that you're losing, I guess. But I didn't even think that you were losing. I think that we were just having a normal conversation. No, we're talking about your worldview.
You're trying to derail. Like,
I'm literally you came on asking about anti-Tag, and so I'm giving you an example of a way that like Tag kind of self-defeats itself here. This isn't quite anti-Tag, but this is a critique that's fairly common amongst Tag, which is that God's knowledge is unjustified.
That doesn't make any sense. Which part was confusing for you, PMARS? Well, God is the source of truth. So it doesn't make any sense to say that why would God have to justify any of his claims?
That's just what knowledge is. Knowledge is something that is a justified true belief, if you use the classical definition.
We have like a revelational epistemology. So we think that God's revealed claims are justified in virtue that they come from God, right? He's the, like, God saying something, God making a claim is better than any like scientific evidence, right?
I mean, that's great, but if you don't think that knowledge is justified true belief, what do you think it is?
Well, it would be justified. See, we disagree that I believe God is the best justification for any claim, right?
That's where Can you just define what you mean by knowledge?
Justified true belief.
Okay, so if it's a justified true belief and God has knowledge in your worldview, then it requires justification.
God's the justification.
So a thing can justify itself in your worldview.
Yeah, he's self-authentic. Well, in your worldview too. If you deny a self-authenticating proposition, then you completely undermine your ability to make a proposition.
Okay, but so
there has to be one.
So in your worldview, so it is acceptable to you for me to just make a statement and just say it's self-justifying?
If it's ultimate. So any worldview is going to start.
How do you tell the difference between an ultimate statement and a non-ultimate statement?
Any worldview is going to, like, without a self-authenticating truth statement, you couldn't make any.
How do you tell when a truth statement is self-authenticating?
So think of like verification principle. So how do we know the verification principle is true? In virtue that we use it to verify anything is true. Right?
I wasn't asking for an example.
You have a verification principle, right? Because you have to verify.
I use several.
To verify something's true, you'd use a verification principle. So what you're basically asking me is, how do I verify my verification principle?
That's not what I'm asking you.
The answer to that question is
this is a weird straw man that you're telling me what I'm asking you, but I'm not asking you that. I'm asking.
Okay, you're trying to.
It seems like you're just kind of like going off of the. You're trying to get back on your script, I guess, because I had you off your script.
You should stick to science because you don't really understand what's going on in this conversation. You should just talk about science.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
God is a metaphysical claim.
I mean, like, look. How do you tell when something is? How do you tell when a proposition is self-justifying? What's the rule of thumb that you use?
Because when we're talking about a verification principle.
We're not talking about a verification principle. I'm asking,
that's what God is.
Given a proposition, how do you establish whether that proposition is self-justifying?
Well, how do you establish a proposition's true? You would verify it with a verification principle.
That's unrelated to the question I asked.
Okay, and so I can't make an argument because Blitz says so. You're a coward. I'm just going to. I guess if you're not going to let me talk,
I'm not even asking you to make an argument. I'm just asking you to answer a question. How do you tell the difference between a self-justifying and a non-self-justifying proposition? What properties does a self-justifying proposition have that a non-self-justifying proposition doesn't?
What's going on in the debate is Blitz is losing, so he's asking me to verify my verification principle.
Apparently, I'm losing by merely asking a question that you're dodging from.
It's not dodging.
You're dodging repeatedly. I'm asking a very simple question. How do you tell the difference between a self-justifying and a non-self-justifying proposition?
The question is more loaded than Ernest Hemingway, and the objectable premise is you're asking me to verify my verification principle.
No, I'm not asking you to verify anything. I just want a rule of thumb, like the way that you tell these things apart.
God is the verification principle.
Like for example, if I just told you a proposition, the sky is blue, how would you tell? What method would you use to determine whether or not the sky is blue is a self-justifying proposition or a non-self-justifying proposition?
Is the sky is blue a verification principle?
I'm not asking about a verification principle. I'm asking about a proposition in general.
God is my verification principle.
I'm asking about any proposition.
Run away.
Answer the question. You're telling me I'm running? Answer the damn question, You're running. Why can't you answer the question? God is a verification principle. And why can't you answer the question? For any proposition, how do you tell if it's self-justifying or not?
All you're saying is I can't make an argument because you say so. God is a verification principle.
I'm asking a very simple question.
No, you're trying to frame the discussion in a way that God is
a very simple question. It just seems like you're struggling.
It's not a simple question.
It's not a simple question because you know you have no answer.
I do have an answer.
Okay, so then what's the answer? What's the answer?
That God's a verification principle, and verification principles are verified in virtue that we use them to verify anything is true. So if your verification principle,
I'm sorry, did that address my question of given a proposition, how do you establish if it's self-justifying? Because I didn't hear the word self-justifying or proposition anywhere in that answer. So it just sounds like you were talking about something else.
Verify. Verification principle is verified.
Oh,
justified.
Cool. I'm not talking about verification principles or verification. I'm talking about self-justifying propositions.
You're trying to frame the debate. You're trying to frame the discussion in a way in which God isn't a verification principle. And
I'm not trying to do anything of the sort. I'm asking you, given a proposition, how do you check whether that proposition is self-justifying or not?
You're straw manning because it's a verification principle.
You said that God is a self-justifying proposition, which, by the way, is a category error, but fine. I know what you mean.
A category error? How is that a category?
It's a category error because God's not a proposition.
Without it. God is not a proposition. He's the ground of propositions.
You have to have under your worldview, that might be the case. That doesn't mean that God is a proposition. A proposition is an object with a predicate, right?
He's an absolute identity state which would be a self-authenticating truth statement.
Yeah, so
He absolutely
I
is
don't
a
know what
self-authenticating.
so a truth statement is typically used to describe a proposition. Actually, a truth statement isn't really
truth
even
statement.
that.
I don't say proposition.
What do you mean by truth
when
statement?
When you say proposition, atheists think you're trying to ask someone to have sex with you. So I say truth statement.
PMARS, what?
Because in atheism, a proposition is when you go, "Hey, do you want to spend the night at my? You want to go camping?" That's a
PMARS,
proposition.
are you? Is your brain like that smooth? Like
What?
you know that propositions are used in like analytic philosophy, right?
Yeah, but it's just a true. I don't like to use philosophical terms so the audience can understand.
Okay, well,
Like,
everybody here knows what a proposition is.
A proposition.
And we're not
is like
talking about propositioning you,
PMAR.
PMARS, so you don't have to load up your phone or
it's
anything.
Just, I'm not muddying it. I'm making it more clear. It's just a proposition.
Okay, so when you say truth statement, you mean proposition. Great.
That's the same thing.
Okay, great. So that's a category error. To say that an object is a truth statement is a category error. Objects plus predicates give you propositions. Or truth statements, if you will. That would be like saying the sky is a truth statement. Like that doesn't make any sense. It's the wrong category of things. It's an object. It doesn't have a truth value.
God's claims are self-authenticating in virtue.
Claims perhaps can be propositions. Things like the sky is blue. That's a proposition because it has a predicate is blue attached to an object.
The Bible
but saying that God
contains...
is a proposition it's a mistake, right? Like you're just doing mistaken reasoning.
No, I'm saying that the Bible is a collection of truth statements or propositions.
That's great. I understand that that's the worldview. That's fine.
They would be self-authenticating in virtue that they come from God.
Right. So the question is given a proposition, how do you check whether that proposition is self-justifying?
If it's a verification principle, that's what I'm telling you.
So if the proposition is a verification principle, then it's self-justifying?
I'm appealing to the scriptural verification principle.
Okay, great. Okay, so if I say, so suppose that I have the proposition, all propositions are true. That is a verification principle, right? It tells you how to establish whether or not a proposition is true or false. And so because it's a verification principle, it's self-justifying? Is that your position?
That's how do we verify a verification principle?
Well, okay, so then you would agree that the foundation, if I had as my foundation, all propositions are true, you would just agree that that's like a super coherent worldview.
I don't see how that follows.
Well, it's self-justifying, so it doesn't need further justification, right?
I don't know. This is kind of annoying because like you don't know what you're talking about.
You would call it annoying when you're losing this hard, getting folded like
I don't see how I'm
Chatterbait.
losing. What? So let's say the Bible's not true. Now I have no standard of truth. So what? How do I now when I get out of bed tomorrow? Because like let's say you're right, the Bible's false. I get out of bed tomorrow. How do I know something's true? What's my standard of truth?
You could use some other method, right? Normal people have multiple means that they use to come to true conclusions about the world around them and about their own thoughts and about metaphysics and all sorts of things.
You've just screwed me over. Now I can't live my life without a standard of truth, and you've just robbed me because you've convinced me.
Oh, poor PMARS. He's not capable of thinking for himself.
You're not going to help me out. You're not going to help me out. Help a brother out. Help a fellow atheist. I'm a fellow atheist. I need your help. What's the standard of truth? How do we know it's true?
You can have multiple standards of truth. You can have empirical truths. You can have mathematical truths. Yeah.
Well, there's no objective standard?
I don't know what you mean by an objective standard. Do you mean a single standard?
Well, I mean, I would like a standard of truth that's not just like human speculation or human opinion, because I don't trust human authority.
Well, who's relying on human authority? The mathematical truths, do those rely on human authority? If
we don't have the authority of God, all we have is human authority. What other authority is there? What other authority is there?
Perhaps you think that mathematical objects exist, and then you can rely on mathematical objects.
But what would be the authority?
Well, I don't know what you mean by authority. It seems like you're still a theist, there, PMARS.
What does authority mean?
It seems like you're still a theist. You're demanding an authority for something that doesn't require one.
You're a professional academic, and you don't know what an authority means?
No, it seems like you're confused and you're trying to invoke theism again, even though you're pretending to be an atheist.
Can you ask for your money back on your degree?
I didn't pay any money for my degree, for my 4 degrees, actually.
That's about what it's worth.
Well, I guess that you would think so, huh?
Yeah. I don't know. See, we're having a metaphysical discussion. You should stick to physics. Metaphysics is
You
not
should
your
stick to
bag.
Chatterbait.
Okay. Well, God bless you, sir.
I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. He couldn't engage, right? Like, I asked him a really simple question and he just like, nah. He just couldn't. All right, let's read some super chats. Duke of Shaska sends €5 to ask, who is PMars and do they know about our Rock and Savior Doug? PMars probably does know about the Rock and Savior Doug. Hard Work sends $5 to ask, if God is knowledge, then it's just trivially true atheists don't have knowledge, truth, and on that definition. Who cares about the argument? It's useless. Yeah, that is a good point, right? If you define God to be knowledge, then yeah, atheists don't have that. But that's just not what most people mean, right? Garba Gaiman sends 5 Canuck bucks for PMars has an embarrassment fetish. He wants you to crush him. Oh no. Nightman cometh, thank you for the $10. PMars becomes the cowardly lion when debating anyone that isn't a random TikTok guest. True. Felicia sends $2. You are such a Philbro dum-dum, PMars. Go outside. Duke of Shaska sends €5. Wow, people are being mean to, I mean, like, people should be mean to PMars because he's a hypocritical asshole. But anyway. Duke says, P no brains, weapons grade stupidity here merits a piece of wisdom of Peterson. Existence arises and subsides in exponential dominance hierarchy. True. Very true. Tim Bimbadil sends $2. Oh, so this is PMars. I understand now. Yeah, he's a character. Gretchen sends $3. PMars, at best, you're a Philbro with a thesaurus. True. Look, DG sent $2. There's no need to attack Blitz's education. Look, if he's going to attack my education, I'll attack his hypocritical Chatterbait use. For those who don't know, and by the way, like, I'm super pro queer, pro LGBTQ. It's great. Like, if you want to be gay, if you want to be, well, it's not really a want, it's just a thing that you are. If you're gay, if you're trans, if you're queer, whatever, cool. More power to you. More pride to you. However, PMars is like a raging homophobe. And then it came out that PMars could be found on Chatterbait asking for men. And that's the issue, right? That's the issue. We have one more super chat. Mike Townsend with the $5. Thank you. If God was real, it would send Piss Mars straight to the lake of fire. What an idiot. Yeah, fair enough. Anyway, let's bring up another game.